I think that what you just said is when I talk about hockey players, because I work with,
Mm-hmm.
college, high school hockey players a lot, and I talk to them about coaching cues, right? And when you talk with somebody, you give them coaching cues and business cues and things like that. And I think it's important to think like, what are the coaching cues that you have that you give yourself? And for me, it was writing down my goal and who I wanted to be. Like 90% of the days I wake up or before I go to bed, or both sometimes, I have like what I want to be written down. I don't have like a vision board of like, Lamborghinis and houses, even though I do have goals similar to those, but I have like the levers of like energy and positivity. And so I think you have to have coaching cues, because for me, I always knew these things. Like I knew the coaching cues, but I like forgot them, or I ignored them. Or one thing that I used to do was I have a whiteboard on the other side of my room here. Is I would write the goal, and then I noticed that I hadn't looked at that goal in a month, and I was like, I had it written up, it's very visible, but I would ignore it, and I would just like, move my eyes. I wouldn't even use that whiteboard. And I think literally just the act of reading your goal and thinking about it, and maybe even writing it 30 seconds every single day, that changes your brain, by saying like, I'm going to be this type of person. Well, then your brain's like, well, are you? And then you start to act like the
Mm-hmm.
version of yourself that you write down. So self-coaching cues is really important, and just constant reminders. And I guess maybe the treat the coaching cue as an input of like, if I just remind myself every 30 minutes or every hour, this is my goal and this is who I want to be, like you will become that person. It's not like, so just maybe just have faith in that input. Don't think, oh, what
Yeah.
strategy do I need, what sales funnel, who do I hire, what program do I buy, who's the smartest, who's the scam or whatever. Just be like, I'm this person. Write it down every day, or every hour, let's say, you see it or you read it, and eventually you will become that person, or you'll trend towards that person, I would say.
Amazing, man. This is some gems, ladies and
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
So hopefully you are paying attention because um,
Yeah.
these are the deep psychological things, right? That really matter. We will talk about tactical things in a minute as well, and we have a bunch of trainings for that for people. But I think these are the things that really make a difference. And I agree. I think about the cues, the coaching cues, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of the quote that also says we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught, right? Again, from Alex
Yeah.
Hormozi, and that's exactly
Yeah.
that. Like we sometimes know what we should be doing. It's just about doing them. And I think the power and why I think your results have been so great. Besides you being an action taker and consistent and doing the hard work and caring about your work and posting content and doing the calls and all of these important things, were the thing that you were willing to learn and you were open-minded and you were
Yeah.
willing to get support, right? Because if for people watching, that's why I'm such a big fan of communities and programs and
Mhm.
mentorship. And I've recently spent tens of thousands of dollars on another thing, like constantly learning, like investing in myself, right? So I'm doing that. But I think why it's important for everyone that wants to grow, because when you join communities, right, and we have a free community for everyone watching, right? If you want, you can find that. Like you don't have to join paid ones if you don't want to, but joining some places, right, where you can not only learn the tactics, which are very important. You can have this old mindset, don't have an audience, offer niche, and you won't succeed, obviously, right? You need both. But if you are in communities where you learn the tactics and then have people that will support you, that will show you the next steps to focus on so they are not overwhelmed, as you said, what do I do, what should I prioritize, but because someone more experienced tells you, and then
Yeah.
he has that emotional effect on you, that's why you will be so much more successful, right? Because you learn the tactics, right? You get the support from other people that oh, it's not that it's just me. There are other imperfect people here in this community that support me, and then they have the same problems or they overcame them. And if I keep doing that, I will succeed as well. So that's very, very powerful because you were open-minded, right? You said, hey, like I'm doing
Yes.
this, like how can I learn? You weren't afraid of that, and like you said, I want to know what should I do, what should I focus on, and then most importantly, you actually took the constructive feedback and said, that's right, and this is what I'm going to do, right? And the combination of that, I think, what will definitely
Yeah.
help you, which people should pay attention to.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I pride myself on always being open-minded because, as a hockey player, you run into coaches or situations or scouts that, maybe don't see the world the way you do, or, you value their opinion of you because they're evaluating you.
Yeah.
And I guess I always just really hated closed-mindedness. I saw it as something I always like disliked in other people. I'm like, how can you not be curious about that? Why do you shut that off right away? Why do you? And I think a lot of problems in today's society are from people who aren't open minded. You just, and it's not political. It's just everybody. There's people on every side and every area that are just like, nope, that's not how it works, and they never even consider it. And I want to be around people that consider things. They don't have to do everything, but they just have to consider it and think about it and reflect on it. But I will say, to the one other point that I think maybe is useful for other people is, while I'm giving myself coaching cues, there's also the negative side of like the old version of myself being like, you're working too hard, stop doing this, give up, or not necessarily give up, but just, oh, like try to reschedule or do this. Like, it's not like it's all positivity, or
Mm-hmm.
energy that's super exciting, inspiring. The coaching
Yeah.
cues, you're supposed to give yourself the coaching cues when you mess up the rep. So if you feel like,
Mm.
oh, I'm nervous because I have a sales call, I'm not doing something right, this strategy doesn't work, it's like, no, that's when you're supposed to be giving yourself the coaching cue. So it's like,
Mm.
do you know Caesar Milan, the little dog whisperer guy?
No, unfortunately.
Okay, he's this
Yeah.
old guy that would, whenever the dog would misbehave, he would just give it like a zzz. He would make a funny sound, like just tap it. You wouldn't hit the dog or anything, but like that's just a little cue. It's like that
Mm.
angry behavior, that behavior you don't want. Coaching cue. And
Mm.
if you're a teacher, you're just constantly giving yourself or your students coaching cues. And yeah, I would say that's important for people to realize. You're not gonna turn on a switch. It's not a one or a zero or a binary thing. It's a flow, and you're constantly adjusting. Just tweaking that direction a little bit.
Exactly. Because if everything goes perfect, why would you need the
Yeah,
reminders? Why would
yeah,
you need the focus on the character and the inputs and the strategy and the feedback and communities and mentors and action, and then if everything would be like just done.
yeah.
So exactly, like these things are even more needed where you are in difficulties and when you don't want to do that. So it becomes even increasingly important to have them. So once you don't really need to use them, you still do to get that you know more uplift, but when you need them, they are going to be there as well. So that's amazing feedback. Now, a lot of these trainings are available for free with all of the templates, AI tools, private feedback for you to be able to implement in your business. And guess what? It's absolutely free. So if you're interested, the link will be down below in the description and you can apply to join there.